Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Combat Carnivore. And if it's your first time, welcome to the Combat Carnivore. Make sure to like and subscribe. We got some pretty awesome people who come on the show, but more importantly than that, more awesome stories of that these people had to go through. And today we have Bella, which you might know as a steak and better gal, who I met pretty much at her wedding, but yeah, a little bit before that.
Yeah,
And I would
exactly.
love for you to introduce yourself, a little bit of your story, and we'll kind of get started with
Sure.
the conversation.
Thank you for having me, Chad. It's always so nice to speak with you and hang out with you. It was wonderful to meet you in Wyoming. My name is Bella, also known as Steak and Butter Gal. I am now almost 6 years carnivore, and I started because I wanted to heal my skin. I had cystic acne, I had psoriasis, rosacea, and eczema. So those were my main skin concerns. But the second main health issue that I was struggling with was I didn't have a period. And for me, I always say, I'm so excited to be a mom. I feel like I was born to be a great mom. I just love kids and babies. So, not having a period for women means you're not fertile. You're not going to be able to be pregnant until you bring that period back. So, that was a big red flag. In fact, that was the catalyst for me to start searching for answers, to search for healing answers, solutions to bring back that period. So that's how I stumbled across carnivore because I was desperate to heal. And another thing worth mentioning is I was actually vegan before going carnivore. So I do have experience with, that end of the extreme part of dieting, vegan, standard American diet. I did a lot of standard Chinese diet eating as well, everything in moderation, all of the healthy fad diets I tried, and now I've landed on carnivore. It is the best experience of my life.
Wow, that's incredible. I think a lot of us actually go down the vegan path because when we type in what is a healthy diet, we're kind of brainwashed from the beginning. Like the avenue, the funnel that catches us is like plant-based, like kind of propaganda. And
Right.
then we're not getting healthier with that. And then we find the vegans, you know what I mean? And we kind of move down. So I think a lot of us, I think it's a disservice that the people who are trying to make conscientious efforts into their diet and lifestyle get caught by an avenue, a facet that is not necessarily the best thing for us. It's probably
Mm.
the opposite of the best thing for us. And that's what kind of triggered me to find this channel because I went down those avenues for 10 years before I found carnivore. So it's like I had to dig through 10 years of piles of trash until I found carnivore. Did you feel the same way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I basically struggled with brain fog,
Mm.
with debilitating health issues that literally made me just I just didn't feel like I was functioning as the best version of myself. And I feel like everybody should search and aspire to be the best version of themselves. I am a very ambitious type of person. I studied at Juilliard, got my master's degree there. I know how to work hard. And yet I felt like I was getting in my own way. So my mental health was just degrading. I was getting depression, anxiety, just stressing over things that should not be stressing me out. And that was strictly because I wasn't eating the right foods. So this is why I'm just so passionate to spread this message. You don't have to go carnivore. You just need to focus on what you're eating. Like there are things that you can do literally today that you can cut out or maybe eat some more of that will literally directly translate into better mental clarity, better mood, better sleep, which will make you into the best version of yourself. So I just love what you're doing, Chad. You're filming videos, you're inviting on guests talking about this exact thing. And you are inspiring people to make changes in their diet, which at the end of the day, I feel like is the easiest thing you can do to get healthy.
You're right. And let's talk about this a little bit. So you had skin issues. And by the way, real quick caveat, did you lose your period while on vegan or was it before that?
I lost my period because of the vegan diet. Year
Mm,
4. Yeah.
wow. So when I talk to everybody, the multitude, the spectrum of symptoms that we come across is unbelievable. And
Mm.
what's crazy is we're all given the same prescription, which is carnivore, and all of us are healing from every single like left field, right field, shortstop, like everybody on the team. as being healed by playing the same sport. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
I think that's what have you seen been cured through the steak and butter gang? Like what are some of the craziest stories and I guess
Yeah.
inspirational movements that you've seen from carnivore?
Well, the most common thing that most people would not even think you can reverse that always gets reversed in the community, diabetes. Like,
Mm,
we see it almost daily now. It's not even a shocker anymore. We're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, we expect that." You know? So diabetes, you can reverse. Okay, type 1 will be more difficult, but type 2, you can reverse that just by eating carnivore or animal-based. Another thing that we've seen that really is so moving is just different types of cancers. People are fighting it just by eating carnivore. People are also reversing cancer, breast cancer being a very common one. And then I would say for women, because I definitely that's my passion, is that group of people, women, young women especially, cystic acne. Literally getting better on the daily with tons of girls and young women. Periods coming back, just like me, hair growing for the first time in their lives after losing so much of it. Um, for men, I would say mental health is a big one. And just being a man, being a father, you a lot of men, they don't know how to deal with stress and also talking about it, right? And this is something that you're so passionate about, which is so great. But a lot of men, their experience improving, their mental health and just feeling more confident. Losing weight is another huge one that most people inevitably experience. When you lose weight, you feel better about yourself. When you lose inflammation, you are able to function better. Just so many autoimmune diseases that are being reversed as well. Digestion issues, digestive diseases, these are all being reversed with just carnivore. So I feel like the list is endless.
right. So that's really what comes down to. We think, because we've been kind of brainwashed and conditioned, it's like I have this symptom, so I need this medicine.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? No one would ever think that the same diet and lifestyle would fix all those things regardless of where they sprout from. And
Yeah.
so for me, it was like mental health, but I was also getting like I probably 3 to 4, maybe even 5 times a week. I was having chronic flu-like symptoms. So sometimes it would put me in the hospital, like projectile vomiting, migraines that would just debilitate me. You don't even want to know what happens, on the other side. And like, it's like, well, I can't even eat. Like, I
Yeah.
can't even eat anything, and regardless of the fad diet I was trying at the time, and
Yep.
carnivore cured all of that, even though it was like fiber is what's being told
Mm.
for your digestive system.
Yeah.
But fiber is like one of the worst things you could be putting in there. And
Literally. Yeah.
so what happened for me is curing my PTSD
Mhm.
and curing all like the brain fog. I remember I
Mm.
used to beg and pray for an hour of mental clarity. I like literally like just give me an hour of peace, please.
Yeah.
And it was about in my 2 days into my first fast where I felt that. And I was like so emotional because I was like, I never thought I would get here. I thought I was gonna die. Like
Yeah.
I didn't want to live anymore. So anyway, it's just cool to see like the spectrum of what we get from male to female, from skin problems to PTSD.
Yeah.
The solution is just what you're putting in your body.
Exactly. Exactly. And it seems like a very easy message and thing to digest, but I'm sure you have experienced this too, but the amount of backlash and the hate that we get on social media by
Mm.
posting just about our lifestyle, what we eat, our carnivore meals, it's actually very jarring and shocking to somebody who is not familiar with this lifestyle just yet. They will automatically assume that we're crazy people and that it's an eating disorder. But I think if you're desperate enough to heal, you're sick enough, this could be the answer for so many sick people who need to heal.
Yo, just a quick caveat to that.
Yeah.
I think most of us got on carnivore not by a choice. Most of us were in a desperate
Exactly.
situation, like, you know what? Let's throw in the towel. Let's just
That's
try
it.
this. Let's figure it out. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And then we're like, I could have been feeling like this the whole time. And now you're telling healthy people maybe not eat, vegetables. And they're like,
Yeah,
what? Yeah.
that's a good point. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not ready.
So Yeah, you're right. A lot of us are in a state of desperation. And so this is actually kind of what I'm about to ask is where I wanted you to maybe dig in a
Yeah,
little bit more with your experience.
sure.
Most men don't know how to ask for help. Most men
Oh,
suffer silently, especially veterans, especially, men who it's told upon us to like just take care of it, suck it up, provide
right.
for your family. It doesn't matter. Man, I was one of those people. And then what sucks is when I finally went to get help, I went to the VA, I went to my resources. I said, hey, like, I'm having like suicidal thoughts. I can't like barely do anything.
Mhm.
This is what they said to me. The world is better with you in it. You're loved. Here's an SSRI. And so
Mm,
it's like, okay, I even reached out for help. I specifically said I didn't want to be put on any chemicals that were going to make me dependent, as
yeah,
because I'm already anxious, so I don't want to do something that's going to mess with my neurotransmitters. And that
right.
was the best option that they had. And so based on having a community where you're experiencing a lot of this, what would you say to people who feel like they're trapped? They've already felt like they've reached out to the resources and that was the best answer they got. What would you say to them?
You know, I would say a unifying pattern that I've seen in the carnivore community and the animal-based community is we almost have an aversion to doctors,
Mm,
to, expert medical help because we always know what they're going to tell us. More medication. Let me write
yeah.
you a prescription. Oh, it's time for surgery. So that's why there's an aversion there because we've already discovered the answer that has worked. So it makes us livid, that these doctors and experts can't even talk about the most obvious thing that we can try and just diet. So for those who are struggling with mental health, like you said, who don't really know where to look for help, I would say find these carnivore communities out there. There are so many now. And each of these communities, there are people, real people who get this lifestyle, who are probably struggling or have already healed the things that you want to heal right now. And so talking with real people, I feel like is the best way to feel heard, to be seen, and to get the support that you need right now. Of course, it's so hard to put like one go-to actionable solution for someone because there's so many different types of mental health issues, traumas. But I think if you find the right community or if you find the right group of people, right, I feel like you can get the best help rather than going to doctors and then being met with medications and prescriptions. So my community is called the Steak and Butter Gang. We have live meetings in there almost every single day. It's every single day because we recognize that life gets in the way. You never know what type of hurdle you're going to be facing at any given time or day. So we try to be as open and helpful as possible, jump in on our open chats, which happen almost every single day. You just go in there and you talk. Go in there and you say what I'm struggling with or ask a question. Those are really valuable when you feel so lonely and just in a hard place. And then we also have meetings where we help you out, troubleshoot, answer actual medical questions. We have guest speakers and doctors in there. So it's a really great one-stop shop for everything that you need to at least get started with carnivore. Yeah.
Yeah, I was blown away by my experience with the Steak and Butter Gang. Um, I love being in there. I love talking because you never know whose story you're going to connect with. And seeing somebody who was like, I hear your struggles. I was right there. And this is what helped me. And now I'm better. Hearing people's
Yeah.
success stories and with men with PTSD and mental health struggles and stuff, like you never hear that. You never hear the other side where it's like, I
Yeah.
was there because everyone's conditions are so unique, you know?
Yep.
I
Exactly.
I think a community is perfect for people and not only that is when you hear something like the carnivore diet, you're like, okay, I'm sold. If you just try it on your own, there's a lot that could kind of go wrong, I would say. Like
Sure.
you about moving too quickly or maybe eating the wrong things or the fat to protein ratios, things like that. So
Absolutely. And I think that's the value in being in a community with members who are doing it with you because you can bounce ideas off each other. You can say, hey guys, I'm struggling with this. And somebody will inevitably say, me too. Or somebody will say, I just got over that hurdle. Here's what helped me. So it's literally a treasure chest of information and help.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm so glad that because I didn't know about these groups really, and when I got started, I was just like watching every YouTube thing I could find and then like suffering and then figuring it out. And you know what I mean? As I dove deeper. And so
Absolutely.
you can put yourself through a lot of unnecessary hurdles, like by transitioning over. But if you join a group, especially like something that's affordable, you know what I mean, that you can
Yeah,
really connect with, and your values change too once you go carnivore because you start to see the world for what it is. And having a group of people you can talk. My Bella, I got to tell you that
yeah.
my sister and my mom, when they found out about this, they
Yeah.
tried to put me on an intervention.
Oh,
They like legit were organizing an intervention for me,
to stop
regardless,
the diet?
regardless
No.
of the fact that I've been
Wow.
suffering. Yeah,
My.
they were like, they never intervened when I was like depressed, dealing with mental issues. You know what I mean? Like being miserable, but
Oh,
like, oh, you are now healthy and like with energy and spending more time with your kids and
yeah.
started your own business. Let's go ahead and intervene now. So like you
Wow.
might not have your family. Like it might be the case that you lose the people you're closest with. Having a community like this could mean a lot more to people than I think a lot of individuals out there realize.
I'm so glad you brought that up because we see that a lot. We have these members who are feeling so lonely and just like they're casted out of their own families and their friend circles because they're being seen as a freak or as someone who's doing something crazy, you know? And so to be in a little family online community where everybody's eating the same way and joking about it, you know, having a great time, conversing, making friends, it I do think it could be that missing key for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And, so I met you at the carnivore convention, right? The roundup in
Yes.
Wyoming. And I was
Yeah.
like, starstruck, Bella, steak and butter
Oh,
gal. And then you took a picture and you're so nice. And after chatting for like, I don't know, 30 seconds, you're like, you should come to the wedding. I was like,
right.
is she being serious? And then I start to realize by finally being around people like this is you're so happy to have somebody else in the community that you get like it's like a shared trauma. It's like, let's
Oh,
bound together, like, and so when I went to the wedding, I was like, I don't know, like, should I, should I be uncomfortable or like, what's this all about? And then it ended up being one of the best evenings that the
good.
kids and I have like ever had on a ranch in the middle of Wyoming, watching Steak and Butter Gal get
Oh,
married, watching, like Anthony Chafee and Dr. Kiltz talking. I'm like, what?
yeah.
This is the most surreal thing I've ever seen, but it's because the carnivore community really
Yeah.
links together quickly just having that shared value.
Oh, I'm so glad that you were there. Just seeing you and your family there made the wedding that much more special because we really wanted the wedding day to be a celebration of our love and marriage, but also meat because it was at the tail end of this wonderful beef roundup event where we were all being educated on meat and ranching and also on the carnivore community friendships. We wanted to celebrate so many things. And so, of course, I was ecstatic to invite you because I thrive off of making friends within the carnivore community. I'm not just being selective and being like, anybody out, outside of the carnivore community, I don't want to be your friend. It's just that, like you said, we do have this shared story, this shared trauma. We get each other right off the bat. There's always going to be that shared passion and a lot of chemistry as well. And I love just meeting fellow carnivores, building those friendships, and progressing with those relationships. It's so much fun for me.
I think you're right too. And another thing that Todd talks about, so I met Todd at the wedding, and man,
Yeah.
my first conversation with Todd really like I was like in tears, like it was crazy. So I fell in love with Todd first and foremost. So like meeting
Yeah.
people that you have no idea that you would have connected with.
Yes.
And and it also talks a little bit about prejudice because you're like, is this huge dude like carnivore? And then you realize he's like lost two of me. Like he's lost 300 pounds. Like
Yeah.
if two of me jumped out of Todd, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's more inspirational than like I could ever,
Right.
I've never been through that. I
Yeah.
had to battle mental, health problems. He's had to do mental health problems and physical health problems.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I had physical health, but like weight on top of that.
Yeah.
So like I'm blessed that I didn't get to that point with my weight where I
Yeah.
could recover from it quickly. But he's fighting a whole different battle and he's winning that battle. He's 300
Seriously.
pounds down. He's
Yes.
moving. He went from being catatonic to moving. So like falling in love with these people and their stories, it really brings us together. But it's also the not, I wouldn't say the fight, but the movement against like the attack on carnivore, attack on like meat
Right.
eating and attack on that culture. We
Right.
need to be banded together. We shouldn't be fighting
You
multiple fronts.
team meat all the way. And that's why I welcome all of the animal-based, community members. Come on in, share, make friends. And I know that I come off as like a very hardcore carnivore on social media. And that's because I choose to live 100% carnivore and I don't add plants or fruits because I just feel so good. I don't really want to dabble back into plants because I don't really want my eczema to come back. I don't really want my anxiety to come back. Not cure lost desire to eat those foods as well. But when I see the animal-based community, the keto community, and the carnivore community just come together, support each other, this is the best thing we can possibly be doing. Not competing with each other or trying to bash, our different types of diets. It's all eating meat. It's all about eating animal foods. And that's what really will change the world, I believe in.
Right. And if you want to mention too, I personally believe that raising cattle is the best thing you could do for the environment, the ecosystem.
Right.
And I
Yep.
think it's the most vegan thing that you could do.
Exactly. I
Uh,
mean,
y-
there's so many slogans now that say, "I'm vegan. I eat beef, grass-fed beef, so I'm vegan." And technically, yeah, I agree. It's true.
yeah, because a lot of people don't realize vegan is a movement for the animals.
Yeah.
And so we eat less animal death happens by eating one cow than by all this other, like, I don't even want to get into the monocropping and the
Right.
soil. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
So yeah, you're right. So all of us who are on the same page who are trying to eat meat, whether it's animal based or the fact that you just recognize that red meat is vital, ruminant animals are vital for
Yeah.
our health. I signed up for the Peterson Academy because obviously Jordan Peterson, Michaela Peterson are carnivores, right? And so I was like, what do they have to say about nutrition? Even if
Yeah.
I just take that one course, it's worth it. It's only $500 or
Yeah.
$450 to get enrolled. So I took his Max's nutritional course on
Love it.
there. And it was the first time you're sitting in a higher education scenario as, someone who's educated in nutrition and hearing someone say, animal food is the best thing for you. Trans fats
Wow.
are not good for you. You know what I mean? And he's kind of a little bit more Mediterranean. You can tell but he calls them, what does he call them? Like magic foods instead of superfoods. But
Mm.
basically like eating whole foods, prioritizing eggs, fish, and red meat, and that was like the name of the game for him. And I was like, we finally have a breakthrough in higher education that's not like this nutritional like brainwashing or
Yes.
indoctrination.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear because I've been wondering, like, what are they teaching in the Peterson Academy? And I've been very curious. I think I'm probably going to go in myself. That's awesome, though.
It was really cool. And I can't believe it was only the intro. I learned more than I learned about nutrition there, which I learned a ton about nutrition. I learned more about the circadian rhythm. I learned more about putting like things on your skin, how absorbent your skin is, and how not to put chemicals on your skin, things like that.
Yep.
Like, so much more that attributes to your circadian rhythm, your digestion, your sleep,
Wow.
your epigenetic regulation and vitamin D in the sun. And so you're in this nutrition course, but you're like, afterwards you're like, I'm going to ground every day and I'm going to get in the sun. Like he was a much more holistic about it.
That's so cool. Love
Yeah.
it.
So let me ask you a couple more questions.
Sure.
What do you think would be the difference in your advice between men and women when it comes to starting the carnivore diet or maintaining, or the message that you would give to them?
Hmm. Great question. I feel like for men and women, my message would pretty much stay pretty much the same,
Okay.
because I think when you are making this big step, this big decision to want to go carnivore, you need to have the right mindset more than anything. Most people already do have the right mindset. And we're going back to what we talked about. We're desperate. We have no other choice. This is literally the only thing left that we can try. That's the right mindset, like
Hmm.
you're going to commit to this no matter what. A lot of people, though, they just want to lose weight. They just want, overnight results. That isn't necessarily the right mindset when starting carnivore specifically, because it is such a potent specific diet, and there is naturally going to be an adaptation phase. So if you're not going in wanting to commit for at least 30 days, I don't know if you're going to feel or see the results that you want fast enough and actually be able to make that seal and turn it into a lifestyle from diet to lifestyle. So for people who actually want to give carnivore a serious go, I would say know your whys. Make sure those whys are actually important to you, not just I want to look hot in 10 days. That's not going to happen for carnivore. So that's just the brutal truth. It's not a weight loss fad diet hack. And then give it at least 30 days. Even better, 90 days. And this applies for both men and women, teenagers, adults, you know? And for women, though, specifically, you did ask what I would say differently. I would say for women, eat more fat. Like,
Mhm.
if there's anything that I say over and over, butter is in my handle for a reason. Fat is so important for women. So important. The more fat you eat, the more hormonal healing you're going to feel. The more fat you eat, the better your skin will look. And that's my main message for women to like hook their attention is I got this clear skin right now that I have here when I used to have a pizza face, cystic bumps, pus filled pimples every single day. And this really speaks to a lot of women because women do care about their appearance, their skin. How does the makeup look on their skin? All of that. So when I say I got clear skin because I ate butter, it's very enticing and it grabs people's attention. And then from there, we go into how to do the carnivore diet, the details, the nuances. It always works, you know, when you show your own results, when you, Chad, go on Instagram or social media and you talk about your results, you show it with your confidence. It always works to convert these people who are ready to convert and give this lifestyle a try.
Yeah, I completely agree. I had such bad phobias and mental disorders that I was scared to be alone.
Oh, wow.
Due to a PTSD thing, I thought my throat was going to close up. I stopped driving because I was having panic attacks. I was a grown ass man having my wife drive me to work and getting rides everywhere. And then after I did all this, after I worked on my lifestyle, diet and lifestyle, I flew by myself to Brazil and learned a new language and got my black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and flew by myself back. And so anywhom, yeah, it's like you have no idea just getting involved, regardless of where your journey started, how drastic your results could be. And so when you say eating fat, cholesterol is, like you said, the precursor to hormones. And what's very interesting about women is they convert their estrogen from testosterone. So if you don't have enough cholesterol, you end up having more testosterone to estrogen ratio. And then for men, same thing. They get their testosterone from cholesterol, and most men are very cholesterol deficient as well. So men are becoming more feminine and women are becoming more masculine. And we're like, it's just like nature's so out of whack. And as Dr. Anthony Chaffee talks about, your body can only digest, you can't overconsume fat if you're on a carnivore diet. Like your gallbladder, which makes bile, kind of like squirts this bile onto the fat and it emulsifies. And if you don't have enough bile, that fat just goes out the other end. It's
Yep.
not going to go anywhere else. So it's like you don't really have anything to lose, really, you
Great
know?
point. Great point. Yeah. I think fat is beneficial for both men and women, but for women, I try to hone it in a little harder because there's that serious fear of fat for women, and I
Hmm.
see it all the time.
Absolutely. Okay. This next question, this is just personally for me. Do you think that certain body types, certain people respond better right off the bat to carnivore diet? And for
Yeah.
like I see this a lot on the steak and butter gang where
Yeah.
it's like, hey, I'm doing everything, but I've done it for 2 months, I haven't seen results. But you might see it's like, are there different versions that work for different people? Like maybe this person needs to go lion for a while because they're responding negatively to eggs or and they don't realize it. Like, does how much do you kind of tailor this depending on like I guess what's the blanket overall? Like, hey, let's try this, and then from there we can kind of cut things down or personify it, or
Yeah.
personalize it.
Like literally such a good question because a lot of people will go into carnivore and then they do see these different variations of carnivore, for example, lion diet, or maybe just beef only, where it's not just beef and lamb, it's only beef, or there's even a ribeye only diet. And then there's dirty carnivore animal based. So it can be very confusing. I feel like for those who have serious autoimmune issues to heal, you are most likely going to have to start more towards that stricter end lion diet. I see so many people with autoimmune issues, like Michaela Peterson herself, coining this term lion diet, heal tremendously with just ruminant meat, salt, and water. And then there are people who are metabolically healthy. They can go in with a variety of carnivore foods, even have the sauces, even have some spices and seasonings, even maybe some cheat meals here and there, and they do fine and they thrive. So I think it all depends on, first, what are you looking to heal, if you have anything to heal, even. And if they're autoimmune, go start with like the stricter end. If you are just doing it because you want weight loss and you want body recomposition, I honestly um, recommend just going whatever carnivore, whatever is animal, eat it, because you want to be able to stick to this lifestyle. You want it to be so enjoyable that every single meal, every day, you're looking forward to it. You're not restricting, or you don't feel like you're restricting. And
Yeah.
yeah.
No, keep going, keep going. I was just saying,
Oh.
like, yes, that's like that hit with me. Yes.
Yeah, and then finally, it's, if you had a history of a lot of trauma with how you ate. Did you calorie restrict a lot? Did you go through actual trauma in your life? Did you go on a vegan diet before? Then expect some weight gain before actually seeing the weight loss that you want. That I always love to speak on because I walked it myself. I personally gained 25 pounds when I first started carnivore. And this was not, anything that I expected, but I went with it because I had a ravenous hunger. A lot of women will have this ravenous hunger opening up of their appetite, and then they will eventually lose that extra weight they gain.
That's actually a really good point. Yeah, like something I don't touch on a lot or enough of is the amount of hunger you get right off the bat because your body finally getting the nutrients and the diet that it wants.
Yes.
And I think that's what makes carnivore actually. So I had to go lion. So I started off like animal based and then I went carnivore and then I went, like now I just eat cow salt water. And
Yep.
I did a accidental experiment. I'm like in this transition of moving around. Like I'm kind of like staying at my parents' house while I'm about to move. Where I'm at, it's way across town to go to the butcher shop I normally go to. So I started buying grass only, grass
Oh,
finished
wow.
only. And I felt like a superhero the past week. And I was like, oh, all right,
Nice.
So maybe
Nice.
even like just being grass fed is even better. So you like you're saying,
Yep.
it's such a wide spectrum, and you got to experiment with yourself. Like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to try getting rid of eggs for a while and see how I feel. And then if you feel worse, it's like, okay, I definitely need those fats, from the egg. And I think
Yeah.
it's important for you to take autonomy and responsibility for like what's going to be the best for you and at
Yep.
least trying it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, but again, thank you so much for doing this with me. I'm learning a lot. Yeah.
You actually know so much about carnivore. I can tell that you've watched all the videos, you've gone through all of the resources on the internet. You're like a legit experienced carnivore. You've done it all, I can tell.
Oh yeah. I've experimented with every fad diet and I was strict with every single one because I was so in
Mm.
such pain. And what's weird is a lot of people have had this like their whole life. I had a weird experience where I was healthy like in my later teenage years and then I got sick. And so then it was like I kind of felt it as unacceptable.
Yeah.
And then, so I
Get it.
wanted the answer back.
Good for you.
But what sucks is a lot of people just think this is what life is like, anxiety and depression, and it doesn't need to be that way.
It does not. Yep.
So okay, now a continuation of that
Yeah.
question, fasting. So this
Fast. Yeah.
tripped me up because I have always been poor at this. Like, for example, like ice bathing. Me and my wife, I'm like, no, you just gotta get in there regardless. And then it turns out like ice bathing isn't great for your cycle, depending on where you're at, because women are like
Oh, I'm so
these
glad
longer
you said
cycles.
that, because
Yeah.
I personally, okay. This is going to be controversial, but I don't think ice bath is a good idea, period, for women.
I
Okay.
think you're right.
Yeah, because in Chinese culture, in Chinese medicine and health and all that, we avoid cold anything like the plague. We don't even drink cold water. We do not put any ice cubes in anything that we're drinking. In fact, anything that's cold, we don't even touch it. Like if it touches our skin, bad for health. Cold air blowing into our pores, bad for health. Never walk barefoot on cold floors. Like I literally grew up like this. And I think for us, there's a reason because it has a lot to do with yin yang.
Hmm.
So it
Oh,
really tips
yeah.
off. Oh, love it. Like, we're
So
all about the yin yang.
yeah. I own a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu academy. I'm huge into, when I say huge, into Taoism as a martial artist. And so
Yeah.
even my logo for my Jiu Jitsu gym is the yin yang. So yeah, I believe, I know, I wish I could like absorb myself in Chinese culture. Like, 你会说一句普通话?
Of 说得好，说得真好。哇。
Yeah, 一点儿,我会说一点儿普通话，我学
Wait,
习
wait,
中
wait,
文
wait, wait. Your accent, like you even roll the R, 一点儿. Wow.
一点儿,谢谢你.
Your
So yeah,
accent is amazing. Oh my,
no,
I'm
没有
so
没有没
impressed.
有, 谢谢你.
Wow.
So
非常棒。
yeah, I love I absolutely love Chinese culture and martial arts and
Oh,
Japanese culture to the point where I'm like I was learning Chinese. Um and so anyway, like
yeah.
I wish I was more immersed in it and I would love to go there and visit for the martial arts aspect. But it's cool that you're giving that insight because we hear a lot about Chinese medicine and we
Yeah.
hear a lot about like Chinese culture, Chinese traditions. And I think they were so much more connected with like the way we were like naturally supposed to be. And so it's very interesting that you say that because like you said, even cold, like your women want nothing to do but to protect this,
Yes.
I mean, they're like the
Ovaries. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. Like I was gonna
Uterus.
say, like the reproductive organs of
Right.
the future spawns of humanity. And so like by
Yeah.
putting yourself in the ice for men, it's good for us, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like we have to tread through like the ferocious uh aspects of life, right? All the what's the word I'm
Yes.
looking obstacles. I'll think of the word
Right.
later.
Sure.
But we have elements. There we go. We have to deal with all
Elements.
the
Yeah.
horrendous
Yes.
elements of life. And
Yep.
so we get stronger by surviving those things. But women could actually be like, oh, this is not a safe environment right now. And
Right.
so their cycle could very much be affected. I started learning a lot more about, weekly cycles and monthly cycles. Women are so much more connected with like these cycles than men are. Men are just like hit the
Absolutely.
hunt and come back way more like day to day. So what would you say in terms of fasting for
Okay.
women and their cycles and being more connected with that?
Ooh, definitely don't do cold plunges and ice baths for sure, because there really is some truth to that. And even if you try it for yourself with your own body, I don't think you're going to feel that great, especially around your cycle time, plunging yourself in ice cold water. It's too much stress on the body. Instead, we should be focusing on the opposite thing: resting, taking care of our body, not stressing it out, nourishing it with fats. That's the best thing a woman can do, is just nourish, nourish, nourish with as many foods and meals that are high and rich in animal fats as possible. And of course, try to talk about what you're struggling with, stressing out about. Journaling is something that I love doing. It changed my life. I love journaling so much. Or just having that me time for yourself. For the busy mamas watching, I get it. You don't even have time to sleep a solid 6 hours. At least focus on eating well. It always comes back to that, right, Chad? Like just eat well. It really is like killing 20,000 birds with one stone by just eating well.
Well, so what would you say to fasting in the cycle?
Ooh, fast. Okay. For fasting, I've done all the different types of fasts. I've actually done a 14-day fast, but not as a carnivore.
Mm,
And as a vegan, because in the vegan community, those long fasts are very popular with like the whole spiritual stuff.
mm,
Um, when I fast these days, I intentionally avoid around the period week. Okay. Because when your period is here and the flow is actually happening, you need to eat. Don't stress yourself out. Again, it's the same concept. Avoid the stressing out during that week and the days leading up to that week, because that's the prime time to actually nourish, rest, and recover. Outside of the cycle, though, and I think right after your cycle ends is a great time to go back to intermittent fasting. Some women don't ever have to do more than OMADs and they feel great. They get the autophagy, they get the weight loss. But if you are not really seeing your weight budge, I feel like alternate day fasting is a great sweet spot for a lot of women, as well as rolling 48s. I personally have had experience with rolling 48s, which is multiple 48-hour fasts in a row, back to back to back. 48 hours, you fast, eat, then another 40-hour fast, eat, and then so on. And I think the most that I did was 6 in a row. I felt superhuman. Like the mental clarity that you feel, and then looking forward to that refeeding meal, it's pure bliss, but don't go overboard because, again, you can stress your body out. So it's a fine balance.
That's a very good answer. And so you mentioned something there a little bit with spirituality, because I noticed a dramatic shift in my spirituality by going carnivore. My political views have even shifted. And so now I'm like, I
Wow.
don't even know what's going on. Did you feel any sort of spiritual shift when you went carnivore? Especially because like vegans are all about nature and things, and it's weird to feel even more connected as a carnivore.
Oh my gosh. I can't get enough of Mother Nature. I feel like I'm high or on drugs when I am in Mother Nature. And I don't think I can feel that like energy flow and that appreciation and gratitude if I did not change my diet to carnivore. So I definitely believe in the whole thing. Like when you go carnivore, people really just they wake up with their spirituality and their faith as well. And I think for me, it really just it centers around I have mental clarity now, so I can actually think straight. There's no longer that cloud in my head. I know who I am. I know what I want in life. That's a very spiritual thing when you can uncover that for yourself. And a lot of people are like facing themselves for the first time in their life. It's powerful. It's powerful if you're willing to face it and get through your demons.
And so you said something very interesting there, and I kind of want to either add to it or not add to it, but see if I'm on the right page, because you know who you are now. And so one thing is we outsource everything these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like our car's not working, we outsource, but we outsource our health, we outsource our diet, we outsource nutrition, we outsource so many things. And how many things are we really autonomous or responsible for? And so
Yeah.
when you finally realize you've been like lied to by the medical system and the food system and the food pyramid and all the agency, it's all BS. You start to take on like, no, I'm no longer outsourcing my nutrition. And so you start to face yourself. Is that kind of like what you were talking about, or could you expand on that?
It's really exactly what you just said. It's taking the power back. Now you are in control. Now you're not going to let somebody else brainwash you or tell you to do this, this, and this to get to this, and this goal. Instead, you are in control of how you get to your end destination. And for a lot of people, these goals are ever, evolving. It's just a whole lifetime of goals and ambitions. And I think it's just so fun when you get to control how you get to your goals and actually be able to enjoy the process and the journey. You're not going to other experts paying big bucks or being on drugs or prescriptions and medications for it. You're actually doing it at your own home the way that you like. And again, it goes back to what you are eating. So, a lot of people in the community, they're taking it a step further, saying like it's a whole agenda, you know.
Mhm.
Sure, like for sure, but I don't really like to make it about politics or make it about all that. I just like to share with my own experience. Look, this is what I struggled with. I healed it, I cured it, reversed it all just by doing this one simple thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can get like for me, I've done some deep dives on some conspiracy theories once you're kind of exposed. But you're
Yeah.
right, it's getting to know you. And what's very interesting is as I've coached people through this, we're so
Yeah.
used to being like, just tell me what to do, that it's
Sure.
like when it's like, hey, like I do carnivore this, and they're like, just tell me, when do I fast? What do I eat? How many calories? And it's
Yeah.
like you guys start figuring this out. Like I can help you with a loose guide at the beginning,
Yeah.
but like because you and I, we've been doing it for a long time. So it's like we understand how to cook our own meals now and like how to experiment and how to increase fat and like listen to our body. But when you're kind of like, you don't know how to listen to your body and you're so brainwashed to be like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Like, what
Yeah.
advice do you have for them, for the people who are at that beginning?
Wow. Well, I think again, finding a community that you can belong to is going to be
Mm.
so helpful, more helpful than doing it alone. That's for sure, right? Especially when you're so confused, your brain is pulled apart in different directions and you don't know what to do. Sometimes having a little guide or a protocol or having someone to tell you how to do it, what to do is going to be very helpful. Once you get into your own groove and you've already built it into a habit, you're not struggling with just the fact of sticking to this lifestyle, then you can go on and start exploring being in the wild, seeing what works for you forever, right? And then another thing that I like to say is I think posting on social media is a great thing, whether or not you want to be an influencer or not, because you get to feel a part of that community. So, whether you have 0 followers or 3,000 followers, just making a habit of posting your updates, your meals, how you're feeling, treating it like a little journal of sorts is going to be really helpful, especially if you don't want to join a community or you don't have the couple dollars to spare to join one. Social media is free. Post, be immersed in the carnivore community over there, and you're also going to feel the power of community there too.
I'm asking personally too,
Yeah.
please post everyone. Post
Yes.
everyone. Like uh I would have never found the carnivore if I hadn't found people posting about it or social media because you're not going to find it through Google. You're not going to find it on the news. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're not going to find this by accident. And
Right.
so by people being willing to put their personal lives to help us, the people who are looking for help. And
Yeah.
that's the only reason why I do it now is like there needs to be more voices to connect with for the people who are suffering silently.
Absolutely. I'm sure you've had DMs and messages telling you, hey, Chad, it's because of your story that I went carnivore, or because of you, I was able to heal. You just never know who you're going to touch with your story. There's always something relatable about wanting to heal.
Yeah, well, yeah, because unnecessary suffering is a absolute evil that has been put on the world, I think, for the name of profit. And I people they know it's wrong. You know what I mean? And when they feel like there's been a wrong done to them once they've healed, because it's like I listened to all the right things. Dr. Anthony Chafee talks about this where he's like, no, we did listen to our doctors. Everyone thinks that we're sick because we're not listening to our doctors. No, we did. We listened to the nutritionists. We listened to the news. We listened to the FDA, the USDA. We listened to all these things. And
Yeah,
that's what got us to where we are now.
exactly. Well said.
Absolutely. So, thank you again so much for coming on the show, for being willing to speak with me. I hope to, continue to immerse myself in the steak and butter gang. If
Oh,
I were to say anything, the steak and community and a group of people getting involved with is one of the best. And I've looked around, and steak and butter gang, I think, is the absolute best. And connecting with the
wow.
people there and
Thank
the
you.
leadership, yeah, it's
Oh my
been very
gosh.
important to me.
Well, it's been an honor speaking with you, Chad, and to many more great conversations and friendships.
Yes, absolutely. 谢谢你. Uh,
哇，
yeah.
喂，你在哪里学中文？
Yeah, Zali, like Zali.
Like, where did you learn
What?
English?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
always use a Zainar. Yeah, like there's 我有一个朋友是中文是
Wow.
yeah 你说的太快了我
Sorry, I know, but
yeah,
I'm actually so impressed with your accent. You must be a fast
谢谢你
learner.
no
Wow.
I'm not
Yeah.
and then what you say 很高兴认识你
很高兴认识你。对。
yeah, so thank you so much for coming on the show
Thank you for having
you everybody out there is like it's a beautiful person, it's a beautiful community, so please go. My community, if you guys don't know my story, I was a veteran and I'm a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I'm dive deep into the different philosophies. So I say we can heal vets with stake strangles and stoicism, but I know we can heal more than just veterans. We can heal men. I
Yeah.
just stick to veterans because that's that was my unique story.
Yeah.
22 vets a day commit suicide, 135 people a day commit suicide.
Wow.
And on top of that, 60, I know this is a weird statistic, but 68% of the people committing suicide are men. So I know that a lot of men feel disenfranchised. They are disenfranchised and they don't know what's going wrong. They're listening to all the things that they should be doing and they still feel stuck. So stake strangles and stoicism is kind of like my message, but get involved in the community, get involved with the steak and butter gang. I'm going to be in there a lot. I know that Todd and I have been talking about like creating and Bella, you can speak a little bit about this, but me even having like a little men's talk like once a week or whatnot,
Yeah.
uh, to talk to men about mental health.
I mean, anybody who's watching this video, we want to help the community. Like, what do you guys need more of? What support do you need? Comment it down below what you would like to see, especially because you all love chat already. You're familiar with this story. Um, we are currently thinking of setting up like a regular men's type of meeting. It doesn't have to just be men's, whatever you and Todd are comfortable with, we can all discuss and we can try, experiment, do little, you know, trials and see how
Mhm.
the community reacts to it. So honestly, I'm just so inspired by your mission, by your story, and I feel honored to be able to support you.
Yeah, and I feel bad. I wasn't saying that to like put you on the spot, but like
Oh, not
just
at
the
all.
fact that there's not only a community of carnivore, but there's going to be a community of men. And
Yep.
by having me in that community, there's going to be a community of men who are veterans who are
Yes.
struggling with this. And so like you can really find your niche of what you're struggling with just by joining the Steak and Butter Gang. And
Yeah.
then you can contact me anytime if you guys need help. And that's pretty much where I'm at. If you guys, I always gotta say this every video, when I say steak, strangles, and stoicism, I think it's very important, veterans, that you put yourself back into combat, and whether that is actual combat or simulated combat. And jujitsu, I believe, provides that. And so that's why I say it's one of the tenets or one of the pillars, right, to the structure that holds you up. And it's going to help you get that hippocampus, those messages from the hippocampus to the prefrontal cortex by being in an environment where you're back in a combat scenario and realizing you're going to be okay,
Yep.
realizing you're in a community of people who, in a hierarchy of people who want to help you out. And I think every single day that we should do something for our body. We should do something that makes you uniquely human and do something that makes you humanly unique. So something that like is overall good for you as the body, as a physical being, something that separates you from the animals and something that separates you from everybody else, and really hone in on that so that way your mind, body, and soul are like working harmoniously in order to live an optimal life. And Steak and Butter Gang diet, I think, is one of the most important foundations for that, because if your body's broken, you nothing else will really work. So like you're a filter experiencing all of this. You the way you see things, the way you feel about things, the way you taste things. And if that system is running not well, incorrectly, then everything that comes in will kind of be tainted on the other side. However, if you're able to get this filter running optimally, no matter what comes in, you're going to feel great about it. You know what I mean? It filters everything out. So that's why I have committed this channel. I've revamped everything in my social media to really hone in on what Carnivore has done for me and what it can do for you. And so, Bella, those are my ending words. Do you have anything to say? Oh, yeah. And of course, look at the link in the description. That's where I'm going to have everything. That's where I'm going to have the link to the Steak and Butter Gang. It's going to be in
Wow.
there. And
Thank you.
Bella, do you have any shout outs or anything that you want to say to the listeners?
I think you guys should just keep watching Chad's videos because whatever he's sharing and talking about, it's the real deal. Like I'm so moved hearing him talk with such passion in life. Um, and thank you for everything that you said about the community. That's so nice. That's so thoughtful. Yeah, honestly, not much to add. I'll give you all the links necessary for people to join. In fact, I'm going to give you the free link as well because, yes, we have the 30-day challenge community in there, but I always like to talk about the fact that we also have a free board. It's called the Steak and Butter Gang Free Forum for anyone who cannot afford the $30 price. We have a free community in there for anyone and everyone who's wanting support and curious about this lifestyle. I will give it to Chad. It will be down below.
Yes, thank you so much.
Hey,
We'll go ahead and end it there. 谢谢你，
perfect. 谢
再见。
谢，太棒了，哇！